Whenever I visit a traveler's factory, I walk in with a list and walk out with something I didn't expect. Come along for a fun store tour of their Kyoto branch. Take a look at the many stamps they have available and keep watching to see what I left with this time. Traveler's Factory Kyoto sits inside Shinpukan, which is a building that's worth a visit even if you're not a stationery person. It used to be the central telephone office that was built in 1926 and was redesigned around the pandemic by architect Kengo Kuma. I found that the design really beautifully blended brick and mortar heritage with modern airy design. There's an annex that runs through the mall, which you wouldn't expect when you look at it from the street. It houses the Ace Hotel, and the courtyard is full of greenery with shop fronts surrounding both sides. It's really not your typical mall, and I find it's the perfect home for a Traveler's Factory branch. So a bit of brand history because I think it's actually a good story. The Travelers Company started as Midori, a Japanese stationery company that's been around since 1950. The name literally means green in Japanese. I'm sorry, that's my dog playing with his chew toy. The Traveler's Notebook product itself came out of an internal design competition at the parent company behind Midori called Design Phil. In 2005, a man named Atsuhiko Iijima brought a prototype to a trade show in Tokyo. It was a really simple cowhide leather cover, brass bindings, and elastic bands that gave users the same customization options that we know and love today. The response was so positive that the notebooks were officially being sold in 2006. These are the Kyoto exclusive items. The first thing I did was grab the Kyoto edition cover. As you can see, it's a certain shade of blue, and they had on display the cover that had already been used and patinaed over time. I'm curious how they get the products to look like this, and if there's someone whose job it is to just use the products until they're well worn enough for display. I find that the Kyoto blue leans a bit more green, while the Yudo cover leans a bit more of a true blue. Their products are made to be used. There's no one right way and there's no perfection expected. I know romanticize your life is a phrase that's been everywhere lately, but before it became a TikTok aesthetic, it was really just what people who kept journals were already doing. And I think Traveler's Company understood that assignment well before anyone put a label on it. I really intended to get the inserts and limited myself to just one of each. I don't think there's a store limit, but I find that the inserts are more special if I don't hoard more than one. So there's a Kyoto design, which has gold leaf against their signature slightly in between cream and white paper. The Hosho paper, which I believe is a textured paper that was used for official Japanese documents, and the green tea insert, which is my favorite. I'm actually very straightforward because I've always used the green tea inserts to document the different kinds of matcha and green tea and even coffee that I try. One thing to note about this store is that they don't offer tax-free discounts. So my strategy is often to go for the limited edition items, and then for the standard refills and things that I know I'll be using, I pick them up at Loft or other stationery and bookstores. This store does have limited edition charms, but I kind of got so excited just at the fact that I was there that I forgot to take close-up shots. So here's a broader shot of the postcards and the charms that are available. There was a bunch of washi tape, but because I don't really use washi tape in my journaling, I had a lot of self-control at this shelf. They had collaborations with the Superior Labor, so the well-known bags were here, though not as extensive as the Superior Labor in Kurashiki, of course. Then my favorite part, after paying at the cash register and admiring the decor and the bicycle, I went off to the left-hand side of the store, which houses the stamp station. The stamping station in Traveler's Factory Kyoto is extensive. There's also a super huge one, which I saw someone stamping the outer part of his insert, and I did the same, and I'm really happy with how it came out. At the stamp station, there was just one other couple and a sofa nearby. I made a beeline for the couch and just sat for a bit to breathe, to absorb the fact that I was finally here at the Traveler's Factory location and taking the view from the window. I ended up making friends with the wife of that couple. I showed her my little passport full of train stamps, Ricky stamps, I'd been collecting from the start of my trip and even previous Japan trips. By the time I left, the stamping station had filled up with people. It wasn't noisy, it just had this casual, warm, and collective energy. Strangers around each other quietly and happily making things. Japan tends to be quieter in the spaces where I find myself. I don't know if it's because I curate my trips that way, but either way, there's something about moments like this where I hear the background noise of a store or people just existing gently around each other. Yeah, that's not something that I'm gonna forget anytime soon. Here's my Yudo cover with the new Yosegi charm, this little wooden piece that I bought from the store. Here are some of my favorite stamps from this haul. The bright blue one that says On Cloud 9. The one that says Kyoto Calling, which has a matching framed picture on the wall in the store. And the one with the Maiko that, as you can see, I stamped gratuitously on many pages in my insert and other inserts too. I think I even tried stamping onto the cover themselves, but because most of the stamps were blue or black, it didn't really come through that clearly. I think if I had my camel cover, it might have come through a bit more. No regrets. I kind of like how camouflaged it is in my cover, so you really have to know what to look for to see it. And here's my accordion fold, which I use for painting and sketching. I'm excited to finish my travel flip through so you can see the chaos and the tiny little paintings that I did to commemorate the trip. So here's the rest of my haul. I had a couple of weighing machine tickets, which I think were 100 yen each, and craft inserts in teal and pink because I already used yellow for the first quarter, and I guess I have a color system going now. I also picked up the Ace Hotel insert because, of course, and it kind of reminded me of, if you watch Demon Slayer, the Haori of one of the characters in the show. I also picked up a monthly passport size, which weirdly, after complaining last year that the monthly overview just never gets used in my planners, monthly has been working really well for me this year as I juggle multiple interests, projects alongside work and exercise, and all my dailies. As long as it's paired with a multi-pen. So color coding, monthly overview, lifesaver. I'll definitely do a separate video on that if that's going to be helpful for anyone. Finally, this is my Traveler's Partner Shop's passport, which I bought in Kurashiki and didn't think to stamp there. It means I have to go back and visit, so that's a plus. I'm really happy that the Kyoto stamps are in it and they were the first, so that's a happy surprise. If you're like me and you get excited about notebooks and paper and ink, and you want to know about where stationery lovers and creatives should swing by if they happen to be in this city, I have a video coming up on the Nishiki and Teramachi areas, my favorite cafes and stationery stores in that stretch. I hope you can watch out for that and have a nice trip.